Welcome back to another episode of the Career Evolve podcast. And today I'm excited to finally bring Emily Markanich back to the table. She's been on the podcast in the past, but this time we're talking more about how she's been navigating her career transition. And she's taking a very different approach using the Career Evolve method to really create opportunities from scratch that were never on a job board. And it's really because she's thinking of herself as a business, one, because she has a company, she's a consultant, she's a transformational mindset coach, she's also an executive. So being able to secure multiple opportunities as a fractional executive and an executive coach has really established a nice baseline for her to really build her career and think even bigger from there. So I wanted to bring her to the table because she's taking more of this new age portfolio career approach. And I think it would benefit so many people to start to think about their career more creatively and see what possibilities could open up. So, Emily, thank you so much for coming to the table.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Olivia. Excited to be back on the pod.
And, I can't believe it's been almost a year since we first connected with Career Evolved. So tell me, like, where were you at when you came to Career Evolved and what was your situation? What were you dealing with the career?
Yeah. Well, I well, girl, I went through a year of loss. I went through a lot of loss in 2020, what was that, 4? Yeah. Between my mom and losing my mom, I gained my master's. My fiance lost his grandmother. I gained a fiance, we got engaged, and I lost my job. And so I was in this world of grief, this world of pain, and this world of I don't know what the heck I want. I know I can do a lot of things. Like I remember watching the video on your website about the jack of all trades, and I was like, "Yep, there I am. That's Nick. I can fit into anything you put me in, and I can get the job done and get it done well. But what the heck do I want in the world?" And, you and I were talking, and there's kind of 3 types of people that come into CE, right? It's either I'm in the job hunt for the first time and holy cow, oh, it's hard. What do I do? Or I've hit this glass ceiling in my career. How do I up level to the next level? Or it's I don't know what I want, but I know I need to pivot into something. And what the heck is that? And help me out and figuring it out, but also making ends meet. And so I was constantly juggling these two games of like long term career aspiration and short term, I need to pay the bills. I need to make money. I need to gain cash flow. And I've now secured a solid spot when it comes to my short term as I'm continuing to build my long term. And I'm playing these two long term things, right? I'm building my own business of coaching, of consulting, of doing workshops and what have you, while I'm also pursuing the next thing. But I'm pursuing the next thing from a place of discernment and assessment. And is this values aligned? Is this brand aligned? Does this align with the direction I'm moving in? And so it's been a lot of shift from looking out externally and scrambling to meet whatever is needed to being more grounded internally and being more guided by what aligns with me and my values and my brand.
And that's so I love that you use the word alignment because that's what we're all about. Aligned connections, aligned roles, aligned opportunities. But let's face it, like when you're not working, cash flow's negative. Like sometimes I say alignment to people, they're like, Olivia, I just need to pay my bills. I just need to make it. And so it's like you can't really be focused on alignment if you're in survival, right? And so being able to elevate yourself, balancing the need to earn and build
Mm.
and wanna be aligned. I mean, ultimately, this step that you took to secure these clients has allowed you this platform to build on. Can you share a little bit about that and how you're thinking about it?
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, I mean, I even had some opportunities that I stepped away from because it wasn't aligned, but then they became a consulting client, you know,
Yeah.
because it was aligned in that way. And so as I'm building on things, it's it's from a place of mutual value. So we talked a lot about energy levels, you and I, in our calls and our sessions. And you're like, you're stuck at caregiver. Okay, the care is all about the other person winning. How do I help you win? You're stuck at caregiver. And it makes sense. I was a caregiver to my mother for a while, and then I was a caregiver, frankly, to my previous companies. It was a lot about making sure they succeed and totally self-abandoning and forgetting about myself. And so there's this new era of shifting out of caregiver and into being a cup overflowing, right? Like two of my 2026 New Year's resolutions is to be more messy because just working on that perfectionism, recovering perfectionist. And then two, to be more selfish when it comes to my career, when it comes to what I want and what's aligned. And so when I'm building these relationships, I'm attracting relationships that are aligned. And that's been really cool. Um, of just the as I attract, I also repel the things that aren't aligned, and I'm so okay with that. I'm so okay with
Yes.
not morphing myself to fit into a square hole, you know?
Yeah, and I think for you, like, I've watched closely Front Seat to the Journey, and I think that what was impressive to me is you kept attracting, like, really exciting opportunities, like, with cool brands doing unique mission-driven work, and, I know there was the fractional chief of staff, and then you've got another consulting client. You're now a client of Career Ball. I mean, not a client, you're a client, and we're a client for you. So it's just been really interesting because we're in a trust recession right now, and a lot of people are scared to hire these expensive executive jobs because what if they get it wrong, and what are they going to get the value? And so this whole concept of try before they buy, like consulting to hire or contract to hire, that's becoming more prevalent as like a way to close the deal and, get value for you, get cash flow paid for your time and your expertise. They get value because a lot of people rather rent a really good executive than buy a cheap one. So, how are you seeing this, like with this risk that it's kind of works both ways, right? You're getting to try them before you fully commit,
Yep.
and in a way, it's getting you to be even more selective, right?
Mhm. Well, I think it's great actually, because it gives a clear idea. Like, people, when you're in an interview and people are talking about their culture, you don't know what's true or not until you get into the culture. And then
Yep.
you go, "Oh, this is what it's actually like." So as, you know, it's tough when you're in scarcity, right? And you're like, "Well, I just have to pay the bill, so I'll accept whatever." And so you have to make sure you've got a solid foundation with that. But, this opportunity of mutually trying things out, they're trying you out just as much as you're trying them out. And so with the fractional chief of staff role, I went in and worked it and had a great time. But at the end of the day, assessed and said, this aligns in this way, but it doesn't align in these other ways. So I'm going to step away. And then they shift into becoming a consulting client of mine. And that worked
Nice.
out better for everyone involved. But it gave me that opportunity for discernment. And for them, they really wanted me, and I appreciated that ego boost of being wanted, but that was me really shifting out of caregiver and into opportunist, visionary creator. Because I was like, this is here are the ways this is a great opportunity. And here are the ways where this doesn't align. And so I'm actually going to choose me in this very unconventional way. And since doing that, so much has blossomed. I secured a client through a connection in the fractional chief of staff role. I secured the client I currently have that is a pretty significant client and will likely be a long-term friend, in addition to having you and CE as a client and ideally a long-term client and a friend. So it's
Nice.
just been cool to see how it's like the dominoes have been falling in the right direction, even though it's been feeling at times scary or upheaval.
'Cause it's not like black and white. like it normally is. I got a job, I'm paid this, I get these benefits, da 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 da. For you, you're literally not coming in just looking at job boards and job postings. You're looking at problems and positioning solutions as a consultant. And that's how we train our clients at Career Evolve to market themselves because everyone at this level is looks great on paper, but they want to experience value. So I think your mindset has absolutely allowed you to create opportunities that were not on a job board, right? None of these were posted.
No, none of the stuff, none of clients that I've gathered ever posted any of these jobs. That's so true. I it's so funny you say that because I hadn't put that connection.
This episode is sponsored by Career Evolved. And are you ready for a career breakthrough? And what I mean by breakthrough is, are you ready to finally get paid your true value and also feel inspired and aligned with your work, aligned with the leadership team, and actually getting the purpose and the impact that makes you feel fulfilled at the end of your workday? If so, I would encourage you to schedule a free 1 hour breakthrough session with us to get to the bottom of what are the key gaps that are stopping you from making this breakthrough? What are your goals? And then once we get clarity on that, if we can help, we'll tell you exactly how. If not, you'll still leave with value and clarity. And this is a free 1 hour consultation. We do need to make sure you're qualified for this. We are targeting those who have executive level management leadership skills. Those are the best fit and alignment for the Career Evolved process and community. So if this sounds like you, go ahead and head to www.careerevolved.com/schedule. That's www.careerevolved.com/schedule. Go ahead, select a time, answer the questions, and we will go deep and we will get to the truth on what's stopping you and plan the next steps from there. Now I'll let you get back to the podcast.
But that's so true. It was just connection and networking and talking and saying,
The hidden job market.
it's
Everyone asks, what is the hidden job market? What does it mean? Is it a hidden secret job board? Like, explain what this is, because I don't think people quite grasp it, right? They only want to reach out to people that have a job, and then they talk about that job and their background. That's not the game anymore. That game's dead, right? You're in the cutting edge of the game, and you're creating your own path. So, how are you approaching this strategically? Obviously, we're using the career evolved method, but can you shed light on, like, how that shifted things for you?
Yeah. Well, I love what you said about the secret job market because it's about connecting with people and attuning to people.
Yep.
Like, attunement is such a big deal. I can't stress it enough. Of and not, being humble and gracious, but not over glorifying the people you're meeting with and being like, "You're a human, I'm a human. We're all just" there's a phrase I love of "We're all bozos on the bus." We're all bussing, we're all figuring it out. Like, yeah, we have data, we have metrics, we have AI, but at the end of the day, we're people and we're figuring it out. And so I do my best to put myself out there to utilize my network to say, "Hey, do you know so and so? I'm really aligned with what they've got going on. Could you introduce us?" Or just people in my network saying like, "Hey, I've got somebody. You're super aligned. Bing, meet here," without me even initiating. That's what happened with my current client. It was initiated by my friend thinking of me and saying, "Oh, Emily would be great for this." And so it's connecting, it's being authentic, and then it's attuning to the needs of who you're meeting with, of saying like, "Hey, how can I help you? How can you help me? Let's find that out and let's be in relationship with each other as we're in that discovery." I mean, my initial connection with my current client, they were looking for, about 5 hours a week, give or take. Like, they weren't looking for much. And I was like, "Yeah, I can do that." And then I looked at their website and I was like, "Oh, hold on. This really aligns with my values, my vision of my brand, my career, da 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 da." And I connected with them and I was just straight up. I was like, "Hey, I can do what you're asking for very easily. We're really aligned. There's more I can do, and here's what that looks like. Let's keep talking." And they came back and they're like, "Yeah, we want more. We want more of you." And they became my, top client. And so just that alignment and that attuning and putting yourself out there and networking. And, I've been working a lot on my personal brand. And my next level with it is to be more online with my personal brand, but I've been working a lot on it internally and in relationship with when I meet with people of like, here are my values, here are my non-negotiables, here's what I stand for. Does that align? And if so, how do we want to move forward? And now I'm working on putting that more out into the world publicly on social media platforms, um, which it feels a little more nervous and vulnerable than the interpersonal one-on-one. Still working on it, but that's that's been the key for me is connection and attunement and putting myself out there and sending the damn email.
I know, right? I think people and so this is the key, guys, like, you can't wait for a recruiter to call in this market.
No.
You need recruiters are not gonna position you, leaders position themselves, and that's a big shift because most people do not even think about themselves as a personal brand, let alone driving that brand in front of people, and building a brand isn't about LinkedIn posts, it's about relationships and connecting with aligned connections and adding value. So when you think about now you're in this mindset of higher level visionary thinking of, okay, what am I building? What aligns? Now that you feel like I've got great cash flow, I'm in a good place, I'm in abundance, now I can build from here. Where is your mindset now as you're doing these connections? How are you thinking about it now?
Mm. Oh, that's a great question. I mean, I'm orienting to the belief that everyone always wins, and also that there's no such thing as winning and losing. Like, there are illusions because at the end of the day, we learn. We're always learning, and so when I'm connecting with people, it's very human to human. It's very, "How can I provide the most value?" Um, "How can I show up as authentically me as possible?" And I'm not coming into these connections from a hungry place. I'm not coming into these connections from a place of needing something from them. I'm coming in with an open mind and curiosity and humility and um, a place of giving, of giving value, even if it's just in the one conversation. How can I provide value to this person in the moment? And oftentimes that value is me shutting up, is asking and letting them talk. And then they end and go, "Oh, you actually gave me some really helpful insight on this thing. Thank you." And if there's a next step, cool, and if there's not, that's okay, but, either they become someone in my network that's a career promoter
Mhm.
or they become a client. Like, that's the 2 directions these calls go in. Either we become promoters for each other or they become a client, and it just works out. Yeah.
And that's really where you and I got connected because obviously you were a client, but just seeing how you were serving the career evolved community, how you were speaking on the level of depth and the understanding was on another level of the concepts and the transformation. I was like, and then I got to witness you deliver a workshop. It was just a free workshop. We were doing a pilot with some career evolved community members, and you blew me away with, like, the level of, like, impact, and I was like, "Oh my god, I gotta talk to this woman." So, when you show up and you deliver value and it's relevant, it will come back, truly, and that's how we ended up connecting, and who knows how far this could go, but it's just that's how these things are created, and it's not a job board anymore.
Yeah. There's something I'd love to say about recruiters. Recruiters are I have friends who are recruiters, they're wonderful and all that, but there's a lot of ego death happening in the market
Oh,
right
yeah.
that's being demanded of the market right now because frankly, executives, and I've been in this position where I'm in a job, I'm happy in my job, a recruiter reaches out to me with an even better opportunity. I get geeked, I say yes, I go for as much as I can go for with them, they make it work, bada bing, bada boom, I'm in the next position, I'm in the next level in my career. That's delightful, that's great, that's when things are rocking and rolling in a great way in our markets, but that's not the present situation. Recruiters are flooded, the marketplace is flooded, it's a lot going on, and so that's no longer the game, and there's kind of, frankly, a reality check we're getting on privilege.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was in a privileged position to have a recruiter reach out to me and hand me on a silver platter. I mean, I went through the interview process and I aced it, but handed me this next job on a silver platter. We're not in that world anymore, and it's been really tough for people who have only ever experienced that world. And so with that reality check of privilege, there's an ego death that comes into play of like,
Big
okay,
one.
how do I need to shift?
How do I own this result? Because you're right. There's a lot of entitlement in the executive community, and it's because they've never had to own their brand and drive that value. It's been easy, and we're in a down market. It's the toughest job market in a decade. And so it's like, yeah, leaders have to do more now, and they have to actually own their brand and do the outreach because no one's going to call.
Yeah.
And I think that's intimidating.
Well, the entitlement makes sense.
Mhm,
The entitlement makes sense because of the privilege.
mhm.
I've always gotten it in this way. What do you mean? I'm not getting it in this way. So that's where the entitlement, it's kind of trained out of the privilege, and privilege isn't a bad thing. I want to be real clear. Privilege is not a bad thing. It's not negative or positive. It's a net neutral. It's just how you notice it and where it's helpful and harmful to you. And so this is the way privilege has been harmful is it's created this entitlement and this like and then when you're not getting it, you're like, "Oh God, I gotta play the game in a different way because the game's no longer working for me like it used to work for me." And that's where the ego death comes in. So it's been a big turnaround for people. And if they're not willing to have that ego death, if they're not willing to face where they were privileged, face where they're being entitled and adjust, it's just going to be painful. It's just going to be so painful and such an uphill battle.
It's tough out there because, I mean, I talk to so many me and my team, we speak to hundreds of executives a week, and it's like, I can't tell you how many people made, like, 250 last year that are having to interview for roles that make, like, 150, so people are getting hit hard with the reality check, and I think what's tough about it is that they don't know another way, and they don't know what they don't know, and it's hard to evolve in a vacuum. And so I think we're at a point where I tell people every day, I'm like, "Evolve or expire." It's the only way, right? You have to evolve. You can't do what you did 5 years ago. It's a different world, and that's just the world we're in, and I think that acceptance is step 1. "Okay, this is really tough, but I'm gonna lean in and get curious and really start to wonder, 'What am I missing here?'" Versus the delusional optimism. Someone's gonna call, I'm fine, I always get a job, right? And I think that's where the entitlement and that privilege can hurt you because you will go extinct if you're sitting there waiting. And I
Yeah.
hate to say that, but, like, there's a lot of folks that wait too long to call me, and they're, like, bleeding from the neck at that point. And I'm like, "I can't do a miracle in 2 weeks, right? Like, that's not how this works." So I think it's just important to be aware, guys, like, this is a different world right now, right? If you're not in the job market right now, I mean, Emily, you live and breathe this stuff, right? Like, it's different. It's just different right now.
Well, and this is what I love about one, starting off with CE as a student and now, you know, having CE as a client and being the mindset coach because mindset, CE focuses on mindset, and that is so core. Whether you're somebody who's sitting around waiting for a recruiter or you're somebody who is in the job market, is applying to 600, hundreds of job applications a month, a week, what have you, and not hearing anything back and struggling, it's really painful and difficult, and mindset is so key because oftentimes, especially in career, it's easy to feel calm and grounded when the external is calm and grounded. When you're guided by the external, though, and the external is chaotic, you go to chaos inside. You go to that scarcity. You go to that just scrambling for something, for crumbs. And so what's wonderful about the, CE process is the focus on mindset, is what I get to add to the community when it comes to mindset, because it's helping people find an internal groundedness and being self-guided rather than externally guided. And then they enter into the room with that executive presence, with that sense of calm. And that becomes so attractive because the companies they're interviewing at, or the potential clients they're talking to, for me, they're in a state of chaos and they see someone come in who's calm, and they're like, we need some of what you've got going on. But then it's important to keep that going once you get into that environment and not get hooked by that environment. That's kind of like the next step that I'm noticing with my clients, is like to continue to do the mindset, to continue to bring that groundedness and that sense of calm and capability, just a regulated nervous system.
Exactly. And I think another thing, you really add a lot of value to this community. Every Tuesday, we have these sessions with everyone, and it's about self worth in the end because the moment you lose your title, you lose the paycheck, you lose the team, you lose the office, all of a sudden, technically your value hasn't changed, but what changes immediately is your belief about it. And typically the skills to be able to command it in this condition. Value's still there, but there are some things that shake people up and they become a shell of themselves the moment they're not working, right? And so I think getting that, you have to own your value. It does not exist in a title, right? And that's the work we do. And everyone says, own your work, own your worth, be confident, right? Okay, it's one thing to own your worth and be confident. It's another thing to campaign and get C-suite and VPs on the phone and market yourself and own that whole process. That takes a whole nother level of mindset. And so that's why we have this every week, because we know tactics and strategies are awesome, but we see it every day. People are overwhelmed and they don't have the mindset to show up and truly execute to win. And that's what you're seeing, right? And as they commit to that identity transformation, it then kind of takes care of itself, right?
Well, they're committing to themselves. They're committing to redefining their sense of worth, being not just based on their job and the market and their paycheck.
Mhm.
And when it's based on that external value, it's so easy for the internal value to crumble when it goes away. So when you have an internal sense of self-worth and value, the external can do whatever it does.
Mhm.
And eventually it'll just start working out in your favor, in alignment. You'll start, experiencing what I've been experiencing, is making connections with people that really truly align with you and what you want to do in the world.
And I just see, like, your evolution, the more you and I, like, talk, and I just see, wow, she's really getting more clarity, more ownership of the value, more strength and conviction. You keep rising and rising, and we see the same thing with our clients, so it's like, it really does, mindset's everything, guys. I know it's not just, like, cheesy, like, pop culture, like, cheerleader stuff. We're like, it's neuroscience, it's performance, and that's why we know, and I've been doing this for a decade. I could have 2 people do the same things in 2 different mindset. They'll get dramatically different results 'cause it's all about presence, energy, influence, and relationships. It's such an emotional sale. It doesn't make rational sense all the time. So thank you for just serving the community and all the work you've done to help people get out of their way and into action. It's intimidating, but we're changing lives every day. So thank you for all your support.
Oh, it's a gift to give. It's a gift to give, and I get back. I get back every time. I'm so grateful and excited to support this CE mission.
Thank you. And guys, if you guys resonated and you want to connect with Emily, you can check her out on LinkedIn, Emily Markanich. And then if this resonated with you and you want to learn more, if we can help, I would encourage you to schedule a call with me at www.careerevolved.com/schedule. The intention of the call is to just get to the truth. What are your challenges? Can we help? If we can, I'll tell you how. If not, you'll still leave with value and clarity. I've seen it all. There's zero judgment. We just want to get to the truth. What do you need, right? Can we help? So thank you again, Emily. Congrats on the success. Excited to see where you go next.
Thanks, Olivia.